Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fire for Effect Live on this lovely 26th of January, Wednesday. Today's Wayne Gretzky's birthday. It's also my dad's birthday. He's 73 now, so I gave him a call and woke him up because he was on the piss last night. Who do we got on? Jennifer's there. Right on. What are we going to talk about tonight? We're going to talk about Russia. We're going to talk about the Ukraine. We're going to talk about the Canadian Armed Forces' current state, what its commitments are to NATO, and I've got my panel of hooligans that'll be jumping in a second. But before we get to that, let's put my phone on mute and cover some sponsors. Sorry, I'm twitching a bit. I'm attempting to quit smoking. It's fucking not going well. Fire for Effect and Fire for Effect Live is brought to you by the Dean Blundell network of podcasts. Go to deanblundell.com where you can find Canada's largest digital source of sports, news, podcasts, and all kinds of other crazy ass shit. deanblundell.com. Sponsored by Positive Mike's Brewing. I don't know if Mike's on tonight. I hope he is, because I'm going to be running out of beer when I get back. Positive Mike's Brewing Company. You can get the gear, but you can't get the beer yet. Check out Positive Mike on all your social media platforms. Also sponsored by Mr. Hooper Inc. And myself and Bryce were just talking about, I'll bring him on in a second, getting a podcast going for him to help promote this business. Check out Mr. Hooper Inc. for alternative sources to conventional medicine, weed, mushrooms, more weed. Check it out. Bryce can speak to you about that, and hopefully we can get his pod going. And last but not least, my good friends at Lakeside Farmstead, locally owned and operated just outside of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Jeff None and his family have been running that thing their whole lives pretty much. If you're looking for fresh dairy products, farm fresh dairy, and Wagyu X beef, check out Lakeside Farmstead. You can also buy Jeff's products in and around the Edmonton area at certain shops. Check them out. All right, let's bring the boys in. Hang on, bear with me. Dead air. Come on, DJ. Dead air. There we go. Gentlemen.
Hola.
What's going on?
¿Cómo se llama? Shaking.
Hang on, I got to hit this thing.
There it is. How's that Blue Rocketeer doing?
He's doing good. Look at him.
I know, huh?
We
got to get him a ring light, maybe. Get rid of some of those shadows for him.
We got to work on his lighting. So I don't know if this thing is going to work. Light. I don't know if this fucking thing is going to work, man. I'm sucking on this thing like I owe it money.
It owes you money.
No,
there it is. There it works now.
So I go into the vape shop, right? And this wasn't one of those New Year's resolution things where I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to try and quit smoking. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm probably going to smoke this weekend because I'm going to be on the island. And she's got like 8 million flavors, right? And I'm going, do you have like dirty, stale res smoke flavor?
Yeah.
Now, do you have mint, like menthol? There's just 2 flavors if you're a smoker. There's cigarette flavor and fucking menthol.
And good old-fashioned menthol.
Now, doesn't have that. Hey, Wade. They've got this stuff called Lush, which is minty-like. And I got pineapple, mango, peach. And I'm like, oh, man, fuck. It's too much. So, and Canada changed its laws to save the children or something. So,
oh, yeah. My old lady lost her menthol smokes a couple of years back now.
Yeah, but no, even these things, like they went from 5% nicotine to 0.5. Well, I'll be hitting this fucking thing all day.
Shit. You know what you got to do is you got to implement some medical cannabis on there too, because there's some strains that you can chase that have been proven medically to help with stop smoking properties.
I just want to smoke cigarettes. That's all I want to do. I fucking love smoking cigarettes, but I can't keep doing that forever. What's
No,
weight,
and
man? You have
nicotine
to convince
adds to
yourself that
your anxiety and adds to stress induced and blood pressure issues, heart
bro,
attacks.
listen to Wade's secret technique here. You know,
Hey, there you
I'm
go.
not gonna
That's
lie,
actually really
man.
smart. Yeah.
It is. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna probably smoke still. Like I got stressed out before we do this, and there was a bunch of shit going on. I'm trying to book a trip to Mexico, Airbnb, and they want me to upload my fucking picture, blah blah. It was just a gong show. I'm like, I need to have a smoke. But if I cut down, you know what? That's a good start, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
I'm
dude.
not doing this for other people to say, look at me, you know, like if some guy goes, hey, you're having a smoke, I'm gonna tell him to go fuck off. It's not his lungs, it's
Yeah.
mine. It's my
Yeah.
problem. It's my problem. So what else is going on, boys? You got a new background, Bryce.
Yeah. I promised everybody that I'd be coming different locations, different property aspects. So I've got
Let's
a
have a look.
boudoir studio that I've white labeled a little bit. And anytime that I'm going to appear now, I'm going to have either different background or going to have a different scenario around. They're working on a bathtub that I can broadcast from next time as well too.
You
So
got to if he's broadcasting from a toilet, you need a tub. Hey
yeah,
Danielle, I got a
absolutely, dude.
hookup for you. Oh man. No, I'm gonna try. I'll give her a whirl. I'll give her the college try. But if I crack and have a few darts on the weekend, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Because this is just, I don't know.
Yeah. Thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, these shirts are actually a Mr. Hooper exclusive. They raise money for my veteran causes and my not for profit that just launched Above Your Service. So any information if you want to get a hold of, I make these. They're nice, lightweight, basically see through in the summertime. Great for under a dress shirt or something like that. And they go towards veteran causes. So just hit me up with my email and we see where
Well,
we can get you at.
it says dead inside. That's a bit negative, don't you think?
Yeah, but it's for veterans' mental health because everybody knows mental health is something you can joke about as soon as you're open about it, and it's a fucking rainbow. So get over yourself, right?
Why don't you
Go
just
see a talk therapist. It actually will save somebody's life.
get a shirt that says, if you find my mind, DM me.
No, we'll just have to get you a bag of marbles, man. That's all that is. Walk around like some old Peter Pan guy who's lost his marbles.
We're gonna get you going on your own pod. I'll walk you through it.
Yeah.
So for everybody joining in, Bryce wants his own pod so he can talk about weed and left wing hippie shit.
Yeah, well, only if you knew me, man. I'm not a left winger at all. I'm more of an anarchist myself. Yes, hippie for sure. I like my psychedelics and my medications that are prescribed to me in that aspect. I will always do that over the route that I used to have. That's for sure. Pharmaceuticals didn't prove to help whatsoever. I was in a psych ward every 3 to 6 months and ended up losing.
I'm out of mushrooms.
Hey, I've got a line.
We ate them all. They were great.
Yeah, they are, man.
For those of you who have never done mushrooms, and I was scared. Like I was that guy who, and Morgan probably couldn't even fucking spell mushroom. I was that guy, legit. I was.
He knows
like,
what it's like, though.
I'm
He's been
no
somewhere where he had
drugs,
to sit.
you know. And I'm really lightweight on weed, and I finally got the right strain, kind of, for my guy. And people just drop weed off here. We were talking about that earlier. But I like mushrooms, man. They are fucking fun. You have to know how to do them, where to do them, when to do them, right mindset, all that stuff, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
But if you know how to do it, like you take your time, don't go, well, nothing's happening, and just go, mom, you're gonna be fucked, man. But
that's the best way to, yeah. If you want to zoo out for a little bit and have zero control over anything, for sure.
Yeah, like your visual acuity is amazing, or at least in your mind, it is. It's like I feel like I'm watching like in digital weird, like everything vibrates. It's and so bright and vibrant. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
But if you have too many, I was lying in bed and I could see through my ceiling and looking at my rafters melt, and I went, "Fuck, okay, that might be the line right there." But if you have a little bit at a time and take your time, man, they're great.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah, and they're coming. They're gonna be medically covered as well for veterans here pretty soon. They're already accesses. You're allowed to get them I even hear that there's dispensaries in BC that are selling them now, so they're accessible.
Hey, Cal. Yeah, no, they should be. It's because it is a psychedelic. It's a little different than weed for sure.
Yeah.
But they're fun, man. They're a lot of fun. I if it grows out of the ground naturally, fuck, I'm in. You know,
It's an antidepressant, helps with post-traumatic stress. Yeah, absolutely, dude. And there's science backing that now.
yeah.
So
I mean,
they
don't get
just
me
want you to
wrong.
microdose.
I'm all about my old standby beer, but
Yeah, and there's ways to get around that too.
for sure. So you guys been watching the news?
Nope, stay away from that negative shit.
I know I
I
tried
can't.
to do, but we
Is
got
Morgan? Can we hear him? It looks like he tries to talk, but
Yeah, I'm here.
he's there.
okay.
He's hanging in. He's not listening to all this mushroom fucking talk. I don't blame him.
Yeah.
Are you guys
Yeah,
watching?
I'm not a hippie like you guys.
Are you guys watching football?
Wait for it, homie. Football, no, too organized.
The NFL? No, nobody's watching that.
No,
Oh,
no, I
man.
don't watch football.
I don't normally watch the NFL, but I am this year, and these playoffs are fucking crazy. That Kansas City game against Buffalo was unbelievable. And I'll leave it at that because you guys don't give a fuck. So we can move
Twitter
on.
was really big on it for sure. That everybody.
It was a crazy
watching
game.
football.
There was 13
Yeah.
seconds left. Buffalo had won. It was done. I was texting, going, "Yeah, I'm out of the bracket." And suddenly, Patrick Mahomes, my man, because I'm a Chiefs fan, came back and they fucking won in 13 seconds. It was, which is
Some miracle play. Was it just one throw?
No, man. He took that thing end to end, got in field goal range when you thought he was just going to do X and did Y. It was fucking crazy. It was like watching like those wonder plays when you watch a movie that like a football movie. It was like it was insane.
It's crazy.
So,
I'm sure it's going to be everywhere for sure.
Yeah, you got AFC, NFC finals this weekend. Then there's this bullshit thing called the Pro Bowl that nobody gives a fuck about. That's the weekend before. It's like the All-Star game. They take the best players from each from the AFC and the NFC, except the two teams going to the Super Bowl don't put any of their star players in it, right? Because they don't want them to get hurt.
Okay, so it's like the good second and third line guys.
Yeah, no one gives
themselves.
a fuck about the Pro Bowl. It's just a junk thing. So
they do it like Hawaii or somewhere too, don't they?
There you go. So it's a way to reward your third and fourth line guys to actually do something. Yeah,
fly them somewhere nice instead of some shithole that's freezing. I don't know.
Going to the comments. Yes, Danielle. Microdosing. Absolutely.
Oh, Danielle,
0.5 of a gram right
mushroom. Now. I love it.
Yeah, I've actually got half a gram right now downrange. And it's that perfect dose for me if I need an antidepressant or a way to get out of my head, or I'm stinking thinking, as I like to be reminded to sometimes. And everybody's got their magic dose. Some people it's going to be a little bit smaller. Some people it's going to be a little bit more, just like any other medication. And I feel normal, do good. Chronic pain is absolutely under control right now. I don't have to smoke as much. And it helps with my mental health. 100%.
This is exactly why he's getting his own pod.
Hippies.
Yeah.
Both hippies.
I think it'll be good, man.
Hey, you'll be retired soon. You'll be able to do all of the stuff that'll let you heal.
Morgan's gonna get hair down to his. Are you gonna grow hair down to your ass when you retire, buddy?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna look like fucking Opie Winston from fucking Sons of Anarchy here pretty soon.
Fuck yeah, that's the best character out there for sure.
Excuse me.
Don't you? You have a 2-year challenge you're gonna do, aren't you? You just have to grow everything, your facial hair and your fucking head out.
Yeah, I'm doing everything. Yeah.
Be a hippie. Fucking right, man.
We're gonna take pictures of you every month, like the 9 stages of pregnancy, man. See, you get a big fucking shit locker on you and hair down to here.
Like really, even if you look at all these podcasts, because I haven't cut my hair since November 11th. I mean, so back when like you and I did the first when we did a Fire for Effect, when it was just the interview with you and I. I mean, I was completely clean shaven, right? And that was only 3 months ago. And look at me now. Right?
Look at you now.
Mm.
Oh, Cal tried those bath bombs Buddy had. And Cal, what's the verdict? Do they bullshit or do they do anything? She's not answering. We'll assume it went well.
Well, so yeah, it went well. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. She said it was awesome. People listening to this are going to be like, what in the fuck is going on with this pod, man? This guy's choking to death on his vape.
Yeah.
It's going well.
No, my retirement plan is I'm going to be like Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino. I'm going to get a cooler and a lawn chair full of Pabst Blue Ribbon. I'm going to sit on my front step and yell at people.
And yell at Koreans.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that is perfect.
That's what I'm going to do.
You're going to be like fucking Kane from Kung Fu and go travel the earth and get into adventures and shit.
No, I don't think so. I'm not allowed to travel anyway, so can't really get into too much trouble.
Oh, that's right.
That's okay. Join the club, homie.
Hey, listen, man, you could be in one of those freedom trucks driving down the road to go storm the fucking Parliament Hill.
Yeah.
Hey, let's cover that for a second, because I can imagine there's a lot of people that are going to be thinking that's
sure. Let's talk about that. Dean Blundell was talking about it on his pod today.
Yeah,
and he had this so get this before we get into that. This how do I phrase this so I don't look like an asshole? The anti-bully day or whatever is coming up. The fucking pink shirt day.
Yeah.
Right. So the locker room was trying to get pro athletes on the show, to talk about it. So
yeah,
they've been trying to get Theo Fleury.
Oh yeah,
and it's a good thing they didn't, because he just went on Fox News yesterday and sounded like a fucking raving lunatic.
Yeah, he's gone on the highway to
gone nuts, man.
The hell that is. He's on that convoy for sure. He's supporting all of that.
Yeah, he's telling this fucking chick from Fox News that 1.4 million Canadians are driving down the road in these trucks, and they're going to go to Parliament Hill, and they're going to sit there until the Liberal government resigns or whatever.
What a waste of fucking time.
Holy. What the fuck are you talking about, man? He's an anti-vaxxer like Morgan, so
absolutely.
But he's the crazy kind. So let's
I
talk
believe in
about
choice.
These redneck hillbilly racist assholes that are all five.
Did you see the guy on Twitter that was relieving himself at the gas station?
No.
While filling up his semi truck, he was pissing on the fuel tank or on the actual pump. Some prize winner Pulitzer fucking driver that represented them at one of their many stops when they leave, it's nothing but debauchery and KKK signs left behind.
Oh, for sure, man. There was videos of all these fucking
nut jobs.
This is the phrase.
Just representing Canada at its finest.
White wives making bologna sandwiches for these fucking idiots. It's unbelievable, and it's getting traction. It's got like $5.6 million on some GoFundMe thing that's locked up right now.
Locked up because the people behind all of it are either part of the Maverick political group, which is a separatist group that's supported itself through, or they're part of the Yellow Jacket, or they've presented themselves a couple times and was stomped out because of their financials were always in askew. This last time around, they're actually being locked out of their GoFundMe because there's people like Pat King involved, and he's a known white supremacist who's attacked several of my personal friends in other demonstration types. And it just shows that anybody who's jumping on this and supporting it, I get it. Truckers are uniting people, and they're bringing people across Canada, and they're bringing voices around. But you really have to see who's behind the financials and who's driving all of this. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
But you're giving your money to the wrong people. These wrong people have lost millions of dollars the last time around they did this, and that's why they're in question again, because they don't know how to manage the money. At one point, they were promising these truckers to be reimbursed.
And I know two guys that drive long haul truck, like two guys.
They've turned around. Because
they have nothing to do with this thing. They're like, it's a bunch of fucking lunatics, redneck, racist dummies. It's always the same Chris Sky following assholes.
Well, there's a couple of big veterans that are actually enjoying the ride. I don't know if they've actually looked into any of it, but it's kind of sad to see that these people are just jumping on that same platform. They were shut down. I don't know, was it last year or 2 years ago for doing the exact same thing and creating chaos, but then going nowhere and $1 million+ going missing. And now
this is
they're a
exactly
political
why you're
party.
on this show, because you're the only guy that actually knows what the fuck is going on.
And well, now they're an official political party too. And so now all the money that's supposed to be funded up is now going to the Maverick Party. Like, if anybody's looked into it, it's a separatist organization that wants to separate Alberta from the rest of the country. And
yeah,
we think that we'd actually go anywhere. We're landlocked.
It's completely fucking ridiculous. It just blows my mind that they got $5.6 million.
Yeah.
I
just hope people are questioning where their money is now, because now
it's locked up, right? It's locked up.
It's frozen. No one has access to it because they don't have a financial plan. Oh, just give us the money. We'll go ahead and do it. They were at one point, I heard people saying that they were actually promising money towards veterans. Great. There's a couple of amazing non-for-profits and a couple of great charities that we can direct that money, but I actually want to see proof that it's going towards veterans and not just like that guy that walked across Canada with a cross on his back and said he was doing it for money, pulling money out of the bottom of the cross and then paying for his way with liquor and booze and women and intimidation, and then somehow walked across Canada in 3 or 4 fucking days with a cast on his leg. Like,
I wonder like your average bonehead that's going on this GoFundMe page, what thought process do they have?
They're just seeing the big fancy trucks with the lights going by, thinking that it's all yeehaw Canada.
Yeah,
and they're not looking at what's driving the boat.
Like, man. I've donated to some GoFundMe shit, right? For Doe and for some other people where it's pretty specific why they need money. It's for this.
Yeah.
This doesn't have any substance to it. It's like freedom. Send your money for freedom.
They're gonna try and organize themselves.
$1.05. Ask Team America.
Man, I almost caught myself in that whirlwind when they were meeting up in Saskatchewan. I'm looking at this comment as it comes in.
Try to read it too.
Oh yeah, Mike Root is definitely one of the guys who's jumped on the truck rally. But I honestly don't know if he knows. He's an airborne veteran. He's with Canada Connect. He does fundraising for Can Praxis.
And he's part of this fucking bullshit thing.
And he's got his 1 ton with his big trailer across. Yeah, he's got like a 20-foot trailer that he pulls with his 1 ton truck with his service dog, and he does adventures across Canada as well. I just don't know. I think he sees the freedom aspect of it. But I mean, if he believes in the political driven of it all, then sure. But I just don't see. You're going to drive up to Parliament with semi-trucks and make loud noise and interrupt businesses around the place, all at the same time, expecting someone's going to meet with you.
All they're doing is blocking traffic.
Yeah.
What Tara say? And
not paying back the drivers that signed up to be paid for as they drove across Canada either.
Yeah. I mean, there you go.
There's another way to look at this, though. I mean, in the news, they're saying there's tens of thousands of trucks. I don't have an exact number, so don't fucking quote me on this. But we're still looking at like tens of thousands of trucks. I think they're saying this convoy right now, like when it left Alberta, was like 100 kilometers long.
Well,
and there's trucks coming from the east as well, and we're looking at hundreds of kilometers long. There's trucks coming up from Georgia, from Nevada, from Florida. I don't know. I'm just saying they're coming up. But the fact that this is happening, why?
Why? Yeah. What's the purpose? What is it showing?
Not even what's the purpose, but why would all these people drive across the country? So we can look at their political motives, whatever they may be.
Being I'm a retired truck driver myself, dude. I drive truck. I've driven truck both in the military and civilian side. I might not have been the best one out there, but I can tell you don't pee on fucking fuel pumps as you're fueling your truck or acting like buffoons like 90% of these guys. It started out, sure, as a good idea, but these guys are morons acting and treating Canada as like a fucking playground.
I really think that's it. Like, Morgan, I understand the direction you're going with that, but these guys are acting like fucking idiots is the problem.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
I
like
get
the
it. Like,
circus let out, man. All of a
it
sudden, you
is
got a
fair.
bunch of morons running around just because they own a truck. I hope to God there's no backlash on the trucker trade at all, because I mean 90% of the trucker trade is already double and triple vaxxed because they are going into the States, and it's been a mandate for years. A lot of the guys that want the fast track that actually drive with their proper tickets, they've already surpassed all of those medical needs, and the guys that are kicking rocks right now are the same kind of guys that aren't looking at actually what the science is doing. I mean, heaven forbid, if you're vaccinated, so be it. If you're not vaccinated, who fucking cares? Do we talk about how you like anal? Does we talk about how Chris, right? Like, he rides motorcycles. Nobody should give a fuck if you're vaccinated or not.
No,
But
I guess, that's, I guess, and I agree with that statement, right?
yeah, man. Like, just because
And I like anal?
we never talked about a vaccine status beforehand. Nobody gave a fuck about a flu shot otherwise. And now we're talking about the Omicron and the Delta and everything else. Like, sure, if there's an immune susceptible reason that you must protect yourself, protect yourself. If it's work related, please go get yourself inoculated. So travel wise, you're not going to be so susceptible to this disease. However,
I mean,
if you don't plan on traveling,
if they want to drive trucks across the border, they have to get fucking vaccinated. That's it. If you don't like it, you
100%, man. And while these toddlers run across Canada and prove that they're all fucking toddlers kicking rocks and acting like buffoons, the real truckers are still at work driving truck across the country and across the provinces and across the fucking states, man.
Yeah, and I understand the stance they're taking, and I respect that. I don't have to agree with it. Doesn't matter. But I respect respect what they're trying to say. It's their execution.
Yeah,
they're clogging up the fucking highways. They're being dicks everywhere they go.
And they're driving like morons too.
They're
like they're not even being professional about it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But just to redirect a little bit, you know who's an even bigger fucking dick and who's even more divisive than these goddamn truckers? The fucking leader of our motherfucking country, man.
Yeah,
like
absolutely. He needs to be under a microscope.
If you want to talk about, okay, so some trucker, I mean, these are the most blue collar guys on the planet, rocking a piss next to his fucking truck. Sure, we can all agree that that's inappropriate fucking behavior. You want to know what's inappropriate behavior? The leader of your fucking country saying, during the lead up to an election, that unvaccinated people are fucking misogynists, are fucking racists, all of these things. These are things that if I just accused you of this, I'd be jailed for this shit. But he can go on national TV as the leader of our motherfucking country, and he can accuse people of being like So I'm a fucking white supremacist, or I'm a fucking misogynist. I'm all of these things clearly because I'm not vaccinated. So if you want to talk about the real problem, if you want to talk about the real motherfucking clown, it's the guy running this fucking country. It's not those cocksucking truckers.
No, absolutely, dude. Right? For sure. He's got to be put in check. Yeah,
that's the root of the fucking problem. That's why I'm saying, why are all these fucking retards getting in trucks and driving across the country? Because there's an even bigger fucking retard running it.
Yeah.
Like fucking
and there's zero direction and guidance, and the people taking the money aren't being checked. That's the problem.
Well, this is going well.
Yeah, fair enough. But I'm just saying, like we're talking about like fucking exactly what these goddamn politicians want us to talk about. Things that are not important. You know what is important? $9 trillion of fucking debt. You know what is important? We're putting out $3.71 for every $1.25 we're fucking bringing in. Our fucking country's in fucking shambles.
We've got mass graves being identified right across Canada, including the 95 grave sites in BC that were discovered yesterday. So
right.
If we're talking about anything, we've got genocide and our own issues that we should be talking about, and the debt that he's going into. Who is cashing us these checks? Where is that $9 trillion owed to?
Exactly. And when conservative critics like Pierre Poilievre, he'll ask, "Where's the money coming from?" They'll sit there looking at their fucking papers. And they can't
help me.
Yeah. Where's it going? So if you want to talk about where's the money going for this goddamn $5 million of fucking GoFundMe, where's the fucking $9 trillion coming from? Where the fuck did that come from? Like these truckers, all these truckers, this is a distraction from what the fuck's really going on.
Oh, yeah. And there's bigger things at play for sure. All we have to do is start following the money. I mean, we want to segue into something from the Ukraine. Let's look at the politicians who own the 3 corporations that now own that ammo depot that special forces are now reportedly guarding in the Ukraine because of tensions are being so high in Russia. Like, there's 3 linked politicians, including one from the prime minister's office who owns that ammo depot. So that tells you one of 3 things. A, they're preparing for war. 2, there's something else where this money is being funneled and why we're backing into the Ukraine, because they've got businesses that are there. And now they're making decisions upon Canada's resources to supply that. Or 3, they're just driving around and they don't know what the hell they're doing. But they've already proven what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Well, that's absolutely correct. I mean, and we're going to get into this. We're actually going to get back on track now that everybody's calmed the fuck down.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Really,
I still love you. Martin,
maybe consider Bryce's weed or something, man.
Oh, he's got his weed thing going.
Oh,
not really, but whatever.
Once it's released, he's got the right space to do it, though.
But I mean, when you so let's keep going down that little trail.
Well, look at Tara and Tina. They just mentioned that GoFundMe. If that was actually to be split, I tell you the first thing that I would do with access to the 5 point whatever it was, the 5.4 million you said, Chris, for funding.
I think it was 5.6 today, but I don't track it, so I don't know.
You know, you could buy apartment buildings in every major city and supply housing for both unhoused veterans and the unhoused, put mental health services inside of said buildings, and basically start to solve the problems at its root core. Because it's never just addiction issues. It's never just getting them off the streets. It's already been shown in the little homes for heroes in Edmonton. You put a veteran in there, they're not checked on, they're not looked after. That space is either going to be turned into what they're comfortable with, or it's going to be destroyed. One of many reasons why there has to be more services included when a veteran or anybody is unhoused.
We could send that money to the Ukraine.
Yeah, instead we're buying ammo depots in war-torn areas that are they don't want to work.
How else are you going to give a contract to your buddy at SNC Lavalin or whatever? Like, give me a fucking break.
It's going to be SNC ammo. Yeah.
For those of you guys that don't know much about war, the first thing that happens in a war and is Russia will take out critical infrastructure.
Exactly.
Right? So they will bomb, I don't know, an ammo factory.
An ammo depot, which is owned by our own politicians. So it's pointing into one of 2 directions. We're going to war or we're not going to war.
There's a huge media campaign going on now. So we see in the news that NATO is rallying, blah, 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 and the Russians are massing.
NATO, a bunch of thugs.
Yeah, NATO, what a great outfit that is.
Fuck.
It's a paper tiger at best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Russia's massing hundreds of thousands. Russia's massing hundreds of thousands of troops on the border. But here's what's going on in Russia. Because the Kremlin controls the media, right?
It's all about propaganda. Exactly. 100%. You tell the troops that they should be scared. Their civilians are going to be scared. Oh my God, somebody's going to attack us. Oh my God, something's going to happen.
But boys, in Russia, it was like 2 days ago. Like, I only read my news on the shitter in the morning. So and it was like 94% of Russians believe this. So for those of you listening that can't see this, this is Kremlin media, Ukraine preparing to attack, not Russia. Give me a fucking break. Like, the Ukraine's going to attack Russia.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a huge media campaign.
However, media campaign. So we got the Kremlin controlled media. What the fuck do you think CBC is?
It's
and
already
so we get the exact same shit pumped our way, but it's the opposite. Like,
no, I mean, even the Canadian military and the serving general was already caught bragging to the CBC, saying that they were running mind control and mind fucking altering games while COVID was an original thing. They were testing the publics. This was something that a serving general who was a special operations officer beforehand with human intelligence experience was running experiments on civilian populations over radio and so forth to see what would happen at Ignite.
Exactly. So we got Canadian military doing psychological operations within our own fucking borders.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna sit here and we're gonna point fingers at Mr. Putin like he's the devil.
And that's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. Like, we're going to sit there and say, oh, look at the Kremlin media. Look what they're doing. Like, fucking give me a break. Look what CNN does. Look what Fox does. Look what CBC
you can pull
News
up a
does.
CBC News article.
TV
exactly,
news.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as news anymore. It's political affiliations to present a story, not the story.
Like I was telling a friend earlier that I think politicians, instead of wearing suits to look nice, they should wear NASCAR uniforms and have all of their sponsors and affiliates put on their sleeves and their back and their fronts and their legs so we can see who they're actually batting for, because it's no longer the Canadian populace. Our elected officials are just right out of control. They're so out of touch, it's not even funny.
I'll jokingly say that to people. I'm like Vladimir Putin is overtly corrupt. I'm like, as opposed to our politicians, which are covertly corrupt.
You know what? You're 100% correct. You're 100% right. Like, and Mike nailed it. Putin. He's a piece of shit. But he comes out and says it. He's like one of the richest men in the world because of that.
I don't think Vladimir Putin's a piece of shit. I'll say a few things. I mean, I'm not pro-Russia. I don't love Vladimir Putin or anything like that. But I think, now take this with a grain of salt, I think he's probably the smartest politician on the planet. Now, I'll add to that by saying, given his current company of global leaders, it's not hard to be the smartest fucking person in that group, right? Like, I know cats and dogs smart. Yeah, most cats and dogs are smarter than those sons of bitches, right? And so, I mean, here we are. But let's so look at our leader. Like, as far as I'm concerned, he's selling out our goddamn country. To who? Well, we can all come to our own conclusions with that.
It's already open, man.
Vladimir Putin only gives a shit about one thing other than himself, is Russia, and he's proven it daily.
And the old Russia.
We don't like.
He wants the empire back.
Yeah, we don't exactly. And if he wants to be the next Tsar of Russia, good for him. I don't give a shit. But people are like, we don't like where you're putting your soldiers and your troops. And he's like, I'll put my soldiers and my troops wherever I want inside my own borders. Kindly fuck off. Well, and I laugh because he's right.
Absolutely, he's right. Because walk down memory lane, they just annexed Crimea a few years ago. He's already done it. He's done it once. And what did fucking
nobody
NATO
did anything?
Do? What did NATO do? Nothing. They wrote him a stern letter.
Yeah, but the reason Crimea was able to be annexed, Ukraine was originally part of Russia. It's like the breadbasket of Russia.
You're talking about what he wants. He wants his Iron Curtain
several
back.
Wars ago.
Okay, he wants his Iron Curtain back. That's what he wants.
That's all they're after is the old empire.
To be honest, if you're looking at that from a strategic level, okay, it's the Ukraine now. Then when's it going to be the Czech Republic and East Germany and Poland and all that?
Absolutely. Who knows?
Right?
Yeah.
There's
there's
people that have echoed that in business meetings.
Oh, okay. Here's why it's the Ukraine, because he's got pro-Russian people within the Ukraine that support that. So it's like, hey, let's move on there.
But there are people in the Crimea and in some of these areas, people who are ethnically Russian, identify as Russian, speak Russian, and they allowed the incursion to happen. Remember in the 80s when the Soviets tried to annex this country? You might have heard of it. It's called Afghanistan. And they put a lot of time and money into it, and it didn't really work out. The reason they were able to annex the Crimea and they were able to annex portion of the Ukraine is because I think the people that in those areas, they wanted it to happen.
They're correct.
They're fine with it.
Yep. So they capitalized on that
because nobody's paying the bills either way, though. They're starving. They can't keep on electricity as it is. So of course they're going to go with whatever anybody else is willing to offer. It being another country, they just don't realize that the U.S. or anybody else is also there helping them do it all.
And the balance of the Ukraine is not interested in that. But that's the big problem. So, hey, Ryan's bringing up a thing on NATO. We're going to get into this here real quick here. So I'm going to read this. NATO and Russia want to use Ukraine as a beaten zone. So if you don't know what a beaten zone is, it's
like what Afghanistan
where machine gun fire, artillery fire lands. And no one wants a war on their own ground. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
But I
But
mean,
Ukraine is just a DMZ. That's all it is.
what? Fuck yeah, could be. Don't know which direction it's going to go yet, but it doesn't look good. The EU is fucking tripping. Biden's making threats, and of course,
Does he even know what he's
illustrious
saying?
leader.
He's
Here's
not
what our
changed
his
illustrious
diaper
leader has
lately?
come up with. Make sure it's the right slide. No, it's not it. We'll come to that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Canada sending defensive equipment to the Ukraine and extends the military training mission.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to read all this shit. Oh, fuck, I got to hide this. Hang on. Sorry, everybody. It's not it. Okay, so I'll just give everybody who's listening here an overview. Canada sending defensive equipment. Well, if we don't have enough offensive equipment for ourselves. Ottawa, and this is excerpts from a news article today. Canada will provide non-lethal defensive military gear, intelligence, and cyber defensive support to Ukraine. So we're going to send them an expired copy of Norton antivirus. We'll provide non-lethal defensive military gear, intelligence, cyber defense support to the Ukraine, and expand and extend its military training mission in the Ukraine for 3 more years. So we're clear for you taxpayers out there. We have 200-ish guys and girls that are over there right now, soldiers. We're going to add 40 more because that's going to make a huge difference for the 100,000 Russians on the border.
Yeah.
Trudeau and his ministers defended the decision as a significant, I can't stop laughing when I read this, move and the best way Canada can make a difference. That's a $340 million commitment. Wow.
I wonder if the person in the PMO's office who owns part of one of the 3 corporations that owns that ammo,
well, that's the real
happens to be
question.
him.
You know, who's
his
getting
trust fund.
who's getting the contracts out of this?
Yeah, his trust fund again.
The government's response drew fire from the conservative critics, obviously, who said Trudeau's failed to do the right thing and support Ukraine against Russia's aggression by providing Ukraine with a lethal defensive weapons, as other countries have done. And I don't know who's provided them with fucking what. But he, you know, at the end of the day, are you kidding me? Like, you got to be. You think that the Ukraine, a former Eastern Bloc country that uses Eastern Bloc weaponry, for example, 7.62 by 39 in their small arms, can't get fucking ammunition? Croatia and Bosnia funded the war by exporting ammo during the Yugoslavian war. Okay, the civil war in Yugoslavia was funded by selling ammo. So it's ridiculous to think that the Ukraine needs Canada to build a fucking ammo factory or to run one or whatever. It boggles the mind.
So that way the world can donate ammunition, but they can donate it to Canada.
Yeah.
Help save the Ukraine and send your bullets today.
Ryan brings up a good point. All contracts given to local Ukrainians are connected to organized crime. Like it's a fucking fragile part of the planet.
Yeah, and that's why we have special forces guys.
What's it called? Morgan, what's it called? Is it Op Unifier or Reassurance? I keep fucking them up.
Unifier is the Ukraine, Reassurance is Latvia.
Right. So Trudeau wants to take our massive army of 240 guys and park them in the west side of the Ukraine so they're safe and basically run training missions and send them antivirus software.
Yeah. That slide you said we were going to get to, like, I mean,
well, let's talk about what Canada's actual commitment is, because everybody's talking about NATO. So I brought this up so everybody understands what our actual commitment is. And to be honest with you, it's fucking zero.
Well, it's not what we're talking about.
An Article 5. This would be Article 5 under NATO's rules, which is collective defense, and that basically, in layman's terms, means that any NATO country that is attacked, other NATO countries have to jump in and help them win the fight one way or the other. The trick to this one is despite the NATO sword rattling, the Ukraine is not part of NATO.
No.
So
So we have
You
no
know.
obligation at all.
But by the letter of the law, no, we don't. If the rest of NATO wants to provide them with arms and conduct show of force
and that leads
operations on the
back
border,
to the
they can
ammo
do that.
depot. The
But the
ammo
rest of-
depot is now owned by Canada, because as a sitting politician, you have to throw your stuff into a trust, and you're not allowed to make money while you're in power and such, because then you could have insider trading and so forth. So are they expected, now that the world is watching, if Russia is going to actually go to war, the first thing that they're going to attack is infrastructure, including, like we had discussed earlier, ammo depots. Now, if they attack that because it is owned by Canada or corporations outside of Canada, that is now NATO. And is that the war that everybody's expecting?
No, that's not NATO. That is not. Article 5 does not read that way. And Danielle's got a question, and it's actually, we are going to get to this, but I want to bring it up right now. Can I ask what the right move for the Canadian military would be, or no involvement at all? Is it a cover for the contracts they have in place? I'm ignorant where this stuff is concerned, so I can't speak to the contracts. Bryce knows a little bit more about that, but I'll tell you right now, technically Canada has no obligation as far as NATO is concerned. It's a matter of choosing a side.
We've already done it.
We've done that. We've already said that we're in, and we're writing stern letters to Russia saying, "Don't you guys do that," or we're going to write another stern letter. I honestly don't think that. And what the hell are we going to contribute?
Well, you'd think after NATO's losses in Afghanistan,
that's
what happened in Iraq, where would the military, where would it should be sitting? We should be sitting at home, rebuilding ourselves and licking our wounds, looking after troops, and instead of outside doing other things.
This was going to be for the end of this, but we can do whatever. But it brings up to the point. I tried to get John Iveson on the show. He didn't respond to me. Canada's neglected military reaching the point of being irrelevant. And here's the key line to help Danielle. I'm going to expand on this. The problem is that the lack of military capacity is not a political issue. It's not a subject that is close to Justin Trudeau's heart. Justin Trudeau doesn't give a fuck about the Canadian Armed Forces. So,
not at all.
To be fair,
it runs in his blood.
To be fair, here's the thing. We just spent $18 billion. What the fuck's going on here? On a war in Afghanistan. The price tag was about $18 billion. It's probably higher. And we all know the outcome. And I'm not turning the conversation into that.
Yeah.
The Canadian public has no appetite for military spending based on that outcome, and that cost of 158 Canadian lives and $18 billion over a war that ended up with the bad guys who we took out back in power. So suddenly you have a military that's been neglected, as far as funding since that war was. Who's got kids running around?
I don't know. There's people that just walked into the main area upstairs.
Oh, okay. I'm
sorry.
I'll
turn down the mic.
Sorry. Anyway, sorry about that, everybody that's listening. So basically, you have a military, which, like every other place we've ever been, when you come out of a conflict, they don't want to spend money on defense. And this government, and I'm not shitting on just on this government, previous governments have done the same thing, is not interested in defense spending. And we're going to get into a little more detail about that. So I guess the question is, even if we had the capacity, what are we going to contribute to the Ukraine?
Absolutely nothing. We will contribute nothing. We can't contribute anything. It's a farce. It's laughable at best. I mean, what are we going to do? Like 250 guys? I mean, we were in Afghanistan, and we were fighting against dirt farmers. And we could barely hold on to Kandahar City. I mean, the rest of the country. The minute we went outside of Kandahar City or Kabul, it was the goddamn Wild West. How do you think we're going to fare against a peer enemy? And it's not even really a peer enemy. Calling us a peer enemy to the Russians is an insult to the Russian Federation.
To the Russians, it certainly is.
because we like 158 people killed in Afghanistan, buddy. We'd have 158 people killed in the first 30 seconds if those Russians decided to roll over the border. The entire calf will get rolled up in about 15 minutes. Done.
Absolutely.
Game over.
Canada's more interested in having an exorbitant amount of general officers, compared to any other army, and padding their pensions and taking care of them. But here's the reality of life. So for sustained operations in Afghanistan, the best we could muster was a 3,500 man battle group. Okay, on a constant rotation, 3,500 guys. That's the best we can do.
Yep.
So, who commands 3,500 soldiers? What rank level?
It'd be like
colonel, maybe.
I think it'd be like a division. Like realistically, not even a division. It'd be division minus. So
a
that'd be
B-gen.
like
All you need is a B-gen or a major general.
Yeah.
At best.
At
one.
best, yeah.
One.
Yeah, but they come with a staff themselves, though.
Okay, so to not continue to beat up officers, it's my part-time hobby, though. They come with a staff. That's a whole other fucking conversation. I think we talked about that before. At the end of the day, at best, we could rotate a battle group of 3,500 guys based on previous experience. Bryce, go on mute while you're not talking because I can hear everything that's going on up there.
Yeah.
The best we can put together is a 3,500 person battle group on a rotational basis. That's all Canada can do. And we can't even do that right now because all of our fucking kit from Afghanistan is broken and is yet to be replaced. We're down 10,000 regular force soldiers right now in the Army. The Navy's short. The reserves are depleted because we came out of that war. There's no will to spend money on defense. So what's he saying? Oh, we're going to kick them 120 million in aid. We're going to send 240 guys in a training capacity, and we're going to send them antivirus software. I don't know what the fuck.
I think the problem is bigger than that. Like we talk about like the culture in the military. I mean, and joining the military, Chris, like you and I and Bryce, guys who've done 20 years. I mean, it's not a job. I mean, it's a lifestyle. I mean, it's something that you believe in, you know. And our country, the current government is absolutely destroying our and we're not even allowed to say this anymore. The warrior culture. We're not even allowed to say that because that's a dirty fucking word. Like the thing is, like, what do we care about? We do like online courses about hurt feelings. You know what we care about? They care about your fucking gender. You know what the Russians care about? They care about fighting hard and winning a motherfucking war. That's what defense spending is about. That's what your entire defense should. This is what your military should be about defense. I don't give a shit what you got between your legs. I give a shit. Can you fucking perform? Can you do the PT test? Can you fucking shoot your rifle? That's what I care about.
That's fair, but I mean, and we're talking about Canada operating in isolation, which it has no capacity to do. So obviously, if you want to go back to NATO, this is an EU problem. It's an American. It is a world problem. But if you think we're going to go to war against Russia, you're talking about World War III. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's why the security talks happened, because China and Russia wanted to make sure that if something were to happen, they'd know who sits where, what sits where. Everybody's got themselves defended, and that's why NATO started to talk about it. We can see it's the same thing. Like what brought up I didn't want to drop names, but it's in the comments now. Rob brought it up that the CEO of one of the munition sites that the company owns and controls, the ammo depot, is Mr. General Leslie.
My good buddy, Andrew Leslie.
Follow the money, hey?
Now, funny thing, Morgan, you'll love this. So when he was doing his fucking tour with Mr. Ford, who was the Army RSM at the time, he's the guy that told me there's nothing wrong with the Browning high power to my face. And I said, all right, then. I just want 1 Sig Sauer for my EOD operator so he has something with some sights on it to go down range.
The thing is, like,
he said, just hang on. He goes, there's nothing wrong with the Browning high power. And I looked at his little close protection fucking Fruit Loop that was behind him. And I said, fine, I'll trade mine for that guy's sig right now. And you know what Lieutenant General Leslie did? Turned around and walked away. And I'm like, good, get the fuck out of here, man. You fucking
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and because the thing is like these they speak in riddles because you said we need to replace the Browning High Power, and what he said to you is the Browning High Power is a fine pistol, and you're right. The Browning High Power is one of the most prolific pistol, 9mm especially on the planet. It's a fabulous pistol, but just not the ones that we have, right? Like it's like the F1, like the F-150 is a fabulous truck, but I don't want a busted ass F-150 from 1968. Like, you know,
I'd rather have a 2020 version for sure.
That's
but
what
I mean,
is like,
back to Rob's point. Of course, Andrew Leslie is the CEO of one of these ammo companies. Although that being said, I thought they declined on this thing. Rob's reading the Ottawa Citizen today, so I don't know.
Yeah, but so my comment I made before about like our lack of focus and focusing on the wrong things instead of focusing on essentially creating a warrior culture and training soldiers to fight and win wars. Like I said, we care more about people's feelings. And you said, well, we're not going to fight nice sides. I get that. This isn't just a Canada-only problem. This is a problem that's plaguing the entire Western world. And that article, there was one perfect sentence in it, and this is a quote from an unnamed Canadian Forces member. It says, on the other hand, the Russians have benefited from a decade of investment in new equipment and are at a higher state of readiness than NATO's forces. They are configured to fight hard and win. There is no pretense of being diverse, equitable, or inclusive, said one serving member of the Canadian Forces. And I think that nails it home. It's like, if we're going to go to war, if we're going to go head-to-head, nothing else matters. If you're talking about warfare, let's talk about warfare. And let's train for it. Let's not fuck around and talk about your feelings. Because guess what? When bullets are flying and people are dying, no one gives a shit about your feelings.
No, you're absolutely correct.
No.
I mean, listen,
Canada
dude.
shows with retention rates right now that
I'm so fucking old.
We don't have enough battle-ready troops, and the number of troops that we have may not be ready to go by a 50-to-1 ratio at this point and be obsolete in 30 fucking minutes.
Yeah. We weren't ready to fight the Russians when I joined the army. So I joined the army in 1988, and we still had Germany, right? So we had a fucking entire brigade in Germany. We had a fighter squadron up in Baden. We weren't ready to fight them then because all of our kit was antiquated as fuck back then. But the army was bigger then than it is now. There was no way that after $18 billion, 14 years, and 158 dead against a bunch of fucking cavemen out in the desert, that we're going to take on the Russian army.
Technologically
advanced. I'm not talking about Canada. I'm talking about NATO. NATO is not ready for this. There's no fucking way, man.
But I mean, 1988 to 1991 Soviet Union era, which is kind of like the 80s Soviets. I mean, they had just come out of Afghanistan. I mean, the Soviet Union was on the brink of fucking collapse, which is coincidentally almost where the Western fucking world is right now with our $9 trillion of fucking debt. And like I said, while we invest our money in nonsense and waste money on stupidity, the Russians have invested their money better than we have. And I can go as far as the Chinese are the same way. Like the things that we worry about, the things that our government spouts off about, it doesn't matter. And if those are the things you're going to worry about, our entire civilization, like our entire culture, is going to get fucking rolled up in a short fucking order.
Morgan, I'll let you field Danielle's question. It says, do you think Morgan's point that the military is in a peacekeeping, politically correct state as opposed to an actual military that is in a defense state? So you're the current serving guy, dude. I have an opinion for sure, but I'll let you.
The thing is, well, it's kind of fucked up. Like, we're not in a peacekeeping state because Chris, during your entire career, Bryce, how much peacekeeping did you ever learn about?
I went to Bosnia for peacekeeping.
So I'll tell you what.
No,
but it was cleaned up and done, right? So,
but in order,
I'm the only guy in this group that actually did what is considered a textbook peacekeeping mission. That was the ass end of Cyprus, where there was an agreement between the Turks and the Greeks and the United Nations. Okay, I'm thinking of UNFICYP enforced, and I use that term loosely, that peace agreement. That was fucking textbook peacekeeping.
It was peacekeeping, but how did you enforce that? With guns and APCs and fucking
Correct.
jeeps and
Correct.
soldiers and body armor. This is
Now
what I'm
you
saying.
look at you get into UNFICIP, okay, or sorry, UNPROFOR in Yugoslavia. Well, fuck, we were in a two-way range practice where there was no peace to keep, so we're trying to follow whatever this thing. That was a failed mission. If you want to talk about failed missions before Afghanistan, I'm telling you right now, UNPROFOR failed, and NATO had to step in, and that's why you had K4, which became S4. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess what I'll say is like peacekeeping. It's kind of a catch-22. Peacekeeping is not a soldier's, not a warfighter's job. However, peacekeeping or soldiers are the only people that can do peacekeeping.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely correct. I don't know, man. Like it's probably if we want to get back into, they call them peace support operations now, not peacekeeping missions.
Yes, exactly. But we're not going over.
We're not going over to kiss ass is all it is.
This is not going over with flowers and candy. So this is black and white. At the end of the day, either Russia is going to back down, and I don't know. I just can't see it with Putin there. Or he's going to call bullshit on NATO, and he's going to invade. And what's that going to look like? Fuck, I don't know.
And I think he's going to keep, once again, like I said, he's the smartest politician on earth. Once again, I'll preface that.
He's not stupid.
He's not. No, he's a lot of things. You can call him a tyrant. You can call him a son of a bitch. But he's smart. He's not stupid.
100%.
And like you said, given his current company, it's not hard to be the smartest man in the fucking room. but I don't think, once again, he doesn't want a war. Same thing with China. Xi Jinping, he doesn't want a war. He'll crush us economically. He'll crush us financially. Yeah. That's what he's going to do. I mean, like I said, Joe Biden pretty much gave Putin a green light for a slow incursion into fucking eastern Ukraine, for Christ's sake.
That's what he said. Look at the great comment on the screen, Chris. Great comment on the screen.
Yeah, why do you give a shit if Russia takes back Ukraine?
Let's look at it from a devil's advocate. The Ukraine is right now, it's been proven that everything is backed by criminal organizations. It's in shambles. They can't keep on their electricity. They don't have running water in places, just like our Aboriginals do in Canada here. There's a giant problem, but what if? Would Russia be able to sort that out? Would there be more money? Yes, we all know Russia is linked to just as many mobs and gangster organizations. But is it going to help the people in the Ukraine? And at the end of the day, does that threaten other countries that are around the Ukraine? Because that's what we really have to worry about. You got to look at countries like Poland that are on the brink of war as it is, or these other countries that are on the other side that don't want to deal with Russia because they're going to be just the next country that gets swallowed in when Russia wants to flex again in 50 years.
And I 100% agree with that. That's why, because if you let them do that, first of all, NATO and the US and the UK and everybody and his dog already fucking said no. So now you look like a bitch. You put your money where your mouth is. If you say we will not allow that to happen, you just can't walk away from it. Not at the size of this stage.
Look what happened when we walked away from Afghanistan.
Right.
Look who owns that fucking country now.
The minute we abandon the Ukraine and Russia takes it, it wouldn't take long. You just gave them a license to muscle as much as they want on their western border.
And because how many other countries are they just going to swallow up?
Exactly. Because next it'll be, I think we want to take Slovakia back, right? Because the Czech Republic used to be Czechoslovakia. It evolved into two separate countries that used to be part of the Iron Curtain. Maybe they'll go, we've talked to guys.
The Russian Empire back.
Create that media insurgency, if that's a term I'm going to use. And then you just start creating bullshit. These guys are the kings of media manipulation. Russian hackers and bots. Tampering with U.S. elections, whether that's true or not. These fucking guys could easily annex their Iron Curtain back if something isn't done about that.
So I like how it just annexes the word we use for it.
However,
they're going to just take it over.
Here's a very cynical way to look at it all. The history of the world, there's conquerors and there's the fucking conquered. And that's all there's ever going to be. So if you don't want your country to get overrun, do something about it. fucking do something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what are we going to do?
Hey, no, I'm not saying us. I'm saying if I'm Czech or Czechoslovakia, or if I'm Poland, and I don't want these goddamn Russians coming across the border, I better sort it the fuck out.
Yeah, but a country.
Yeah, but they're already
no.
defending three other they're already defending three other borders, or two other borders from other people that are wanting the same thing, to take over that country. So why is the world now going to pick this one country to step in and basically say, yeah, this is and they're not even part of world organizations that should really give a fuck.
Yeah.
And why is it that Russia doesn't want the Ukraine part of NATO?
Fucking Buddy thinks he should take them all back.
Yikes.
Oh, yeah, man. I don't know about that, but you know, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
Because and here's it's a shitty prediction. I honestly don't think Putin's going to back down. If he's creating media hype and if the Russian populace believes that they are threatened, the only reason you're doing that is to get the support you want to actually take action. And then they'll say, we preemptively struck first before they came at us.
Yeah, but
the real question is going to be,
will the West, will NATO, will the US and the UK, because that's who's going to spearhead this, it sure as fuck isn't us, going to have the testicular fortitude to actually put their money where their mouth is? Because that's when World War III is going to start. What's China going to do?
China's going to do what China always does. They're going to sit back, let everybody else fight it out, and then they're just going to pick up the pieces and collect all the money.
That's exactly right, man.
How long? When was the last time their military was actually tried?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, dude, they have so many people. They don't even need guns or ammo. You could give the entire People's Liberation Army pitchforks, and we don't even have enough bullets to kill them all. Like
they have enough people to come and put new people in every single house in Canada.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the last guys to beat the Russia was Patrick Swayze. Right? Red Dawn. I know they remade it. They remade it, but it wasn't Russians. It was somebody else, wasn't it? Like fucking Koreans.
In the comments, there was an earlier comment about Donald Trump kind of kissing Putin's ass. There's another way to look at that too. So I mean, going to war, like going to war and fighting pointless wars is just that. It's pointless, and it's not a good idea. So you got, the Democrats and the liberals as well. It was liberal government that sent us to Afghanistan. It was a conservative government that pulled us out of there. Trump was only there for 4 years, and I'm not some big Trump supporter. I think he's just as much of an ass as anybody else. But he didn't send any more soldiers anywhere else. As a matter of fact, so he was willing to talk to Putin. He was willing to talk to Kim Jong-un, as opposed to, like, the Democrats are like, well, we're going to saber rattle with these fuckers, and we're gonna have a dick measuring contest. How productive is that? Like, I mean, once again, I'm not saying as better as worse, but was Trump and his administration talking to Kim Jong-un and talking to Putin more or less productive than World War III, potentially?
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it.
At that level, absolutely.
Sure, I buy that. I mean,
who cares if somebody's
I owed Putin money and he had nude pictures of me or shit, I'd talk to him, right? But in all seriousness, I mean, you're right. He's the only guy that had the fucking nuts to go to North Korea and have open dialogue.
Yeah. So
Joe Biden wakes up every day and doesn't remember his fucking name.
And it's almost kind of funny, like these Democrats, these left-leaning people, they hated Donald Trump because he wasn't sending soldiers to war, because he wasn't saber rattling with Russia and China, not so much China, but he wasn't saber rattling with Russia and North Korea. Like, saber rattling with these people, like, yeah, great. The United States have a nuclear arsenal. So do the Russians. So do the North Koreans. Like, it's not going to end well. So isn't it best to kind of put down our sabers and maybe see if we can talk this thing out? But Donald Trump, because Trump tried to do it, he was a son of a bitch, right? It's
Yeah.
hilarious. It's hilarious.
Well, he did it, and he made peace happen, though. Like, he made
Yeah.
shit actually fucking go through.
No,
Yeah.
to answer Danielle's questions, we sure as fuck do not have the capacity to do very much right now. Our recruit
No,
levels
God.
are down.
No.
COVID fucked with that, but even before that, it was
The Canadian Armed Forces right now couldn't organize a fucking
Fucking
hand job. Like, fuck.
well, I was going to be
we've got some of
kinder
the
than
best
you, but that's fair.
logisticians in work, that's for sure.
But you know, the other thing that Trump did, and I'm not a Trump fan, I think he's a fucking nutcase. But anyways, he said, no, we're getting out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And good. Like, I could have told you this, not to turn it back to that. The point is, he said, we're staying home. We're going to go fight where we go need to fight. We're not going to sit around and dog paddle in the sea of wasted effort.
Yeah.
You know, like if you look at Afghanistan, there was no fucking end state.
No.
No tangible end state. There was no plan.
It was going to be 100 years of war.
There
That's all it was.
100 years of an ideology. Well, you know, we're going to help the people. Okay, well, that's not how you win fucking wars.
No.
So he just said, fuck it, we're getting out of there, and he did. It did get extended, but ultimately Biden had to live up to that, and that was the only thing they were aligned on, because they got everybody the fuck out of there.
Exactly. Like we should have like obviously 9/11, Twin Towers, absolutely. Let's go hunt these sons of bitches down and let's kill them. Right? Let's do our job. But then they got into nation building and all this bullshit. That'd be like if you're at the bar, some dude grabs your wife's ass. So you beat the shit out of him. You knock him out. Unfortunately now, because you knock him out, he breaks his arm or he breaks his leg. And then afterwards, you're like, oh, that's shitty. I'm going to go over to your house and I'm going to cook your fucking meals for you. Like,
well, no, you have to put it in a better context, though, homie.
That's ridiculous. Like,
man, your analogy.
We even went on bad intelligence.
Your analogies.
It wasn't even Afghanistan that was involved.
So
most of the attackers were Pakistani and so forth, were they not?
Oh yeah.
They're from fucking Saudi Arabia. Anyway, we didn't bomb them. They got oil.
Yeah, but I guess,
exactly.
but because Afghanistan was so lawless, or Afghanistan was harboring all of these terrorists, and because it was lawless, like you said, it didn't have a government. Nobody wants to go to war with Saudi Arabia. Money. We all get it. But yeah, so I think like trying to hunt down these terrorists and trying to hunt down these bad people and fucking kill them was a good idea. But then after we killed them, well, we should have left. We didn't owe them shit. Let's rebuild your country. No, man, you attacked me first. Fuck you. You get nothing. I'm gonna come. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna flex nuts, and you're gonna know. Don't fuck with me again.
So here's the question. Here's the question then. How does this translate with the Ukraine situation? Like, is NATO, specifically the United States and the UK, gonna really fucking go to war against Russia over the Ukraine?
They've made a statement already.
It feels like they have to now.
Everybody's drawn that line. Absolutely.
It's like that fucking big kid in high school calls you out, bike racks, 3 o'clock, no nunchucks. And you go, fucking rights. And then you're like, oh shit, I don't want to fight that guy, but I gotta go now.
Yeah. That guy's got fast legs, man. Yeah,
right.
Not a chance.
It's like that, man. So and the Canadian military is in no shape to fucking do anything right now.
No, pulling out from all those other countries.
To our last slide here. Where is it? So yeah. And Morgan, you read this. Canada's neglected military is reaching the point of irrelevant. I think I beat this to death.
Yeah.
Whoa, there's a big party going on somewhere.
Sorry.
And again, to answer the question and kind of Danielle's question, it's simple. I'm saying what I've already said. Spent $18 billion on a 13-year war, 2001 to 2014 in Afghanistan, with a completely dismal outcome. There were some positive things made, but the Canadian people don't have an appetite for war fighting because they've never experienced it on their own soil, and therefore a liberal government who's more interested in sex fucking changes in Africa or whatever is not going to spend money. So the Canadian Armed Forces has been neglected, and now you're standing on the doorstep of a potentially major conflict, and once again we don't have the parts to go deal with it. And to be honest, we didn't have the fucking parts to deal with Afghanistan. It took us a couple years to spool up and get the equipment that we needed, and we were well equipped over there. I'm not going to lie, probably better equipped than other countries.
No,
We're the
we
only
did, we
ones
did,
with
we
guns.
did, we did well. We were looked after in
Yeah.
Afghanistan. Like we led the way. Like I remember Condoleezza Rice saying, like looking at the rest of NATO and being like you sons of bitches, like Canada's running RC South with 3,500 people, like everybody else that was trying to be war dodgers. Like we were a shining beacon of what right looked like when we were in Afghanistan.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
Within NATO, like our American brothers, our British brothers, like they looked at us and they're like, man, like you guys are not the biggest military in the world, but boys, you fucking came to play.
Well,
right?
we're the only ones that brought tanks. We were, as far as I know, and I've been all over Afghanistan. Fucking trust me, I've been up 100 fucking miles or kilometers away from the Chinese border in Faizabad, all the way down to Kandahar.
Yep.
We were the only ones with brand new 777 howitzers right off the assembly line, first ones to field those.
Yep.
We had, and outside of kit, we had a better ROE, rule of engagement, than any other country there. Our ROEs were fucking flexible. But we got tired and spent a lot of money there. And if you look at the end state, didn't win the Super Bowl. So,
but while we were there, though,
the government going to pour billions back in? But now we're in a shit situation because we're standing on the doorstep of World War III, and I honestly believe that. And our contribution is 240 guys on a training mission. Right on.
Another thing in Afghanistan, like we had good leaders. Look at we had Rick Hillier, and like he kind of bought those tanks off the shelf. There was like sniper weapon systems that he bought with no goddamn approval because he's like, the boys need it.
Yeah, we got new Leopards.
He's one of these things. He's like, we're gonna we'll shoot first, ask questions later, and he got us what we needed. And then on the ground, we had like combat leaders, like brigade commanders, like guys like John Vance. People can say what they want about John Vance.
Yep.
Like I said, we can say what we want about John Vance, but man, he did his job. He did it well. He was a hard driving son of a bitch. He wasn't a nice guy, but to be running RC South, they didn't need a nice guy. They needed a hard-nosed son of a bitch.
That is because everything was running well, and I'm not getting into all the fucking problems in the Canadian Armed Forces right now, because we were focused on war fighting.
We were. Exactly.
All that mattered. All that mattered was Afghanistan. Okay. And I can tell you, even logistical supply. I was in Bosnia in 2003 trying to get my ass home at the end of that tour and couldn't because everything was committed to Afghanistan, which it should have been. So the CF at the time had focus, and now it has no focus.
Yeah.
That might change quickly It might change quickly if the Russians cross the border.
It could, but like another thing, like I said, when we were in Afghanistan, it was an insurgency. We were fighting dirt farmers that had nothing. I mean, obviously, the Russians, as a pair force, are the polar opposite of that. And you'll get all of these critics talking about why we need to stand up to Russia. These are the same people that have, they've never been in a war zone. They've never fired a shot in anger. Like, they have no idea. Like, do people, can people even, wrap their minds around, what this is going to look like? Like, war, like NATO, United States, and spearheaded by the United States and the UK against the Russians. Like, people have no idea the body bags that are going to get filled. So you got these critics on TV, that are fucking living under a blanket of goddamn freedom provided by people like us, and and they're willing to make these fucked up comments saying that we need to stand up and go to war with Russia. I'm like, are you out of your goddamn mind?
No. That will be a shit show. Like, you talk about 158 Canadians dying in Afghanistan over 13 years. You're going to see 158 dead in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be fucking on. You're talking about a huge military that's had, like you said in that article, years to reconstitute itself. A massive air force. It won't be like the Americans bombing fucking Baghdad, where the Iraq had no air power. The Russians have an air force. The Russians have a navy. The Russians have a fucking huge army.
Yeah.
They prove that their international flight path is also right. They're able to scramble jets out of Cold Lake that they have to deal with Russian fighters all the time or Russian bombers all the time,
This is
exploring their
bullshit.
boundaries and where they're willing to come into.
Yeah.
It's nothing that's been happening for 20 years, though.
Our government has no problem, sending our boys to war and sending our boys to die and standing up here and saber rattling, because like they will never be in harm's way, never. So they've got no problem letting me and you die. Back to when Brock confronted the prime minister. I mean, look at the bullshit answer he gave him. Yeah. Right. So I would love to see. Yeah, exactly. Like if these politicians truly understand what they're saying, I highly suggest that they pick up a rifle and stand a fucking post. Otherwise, I think they should shut their fucking mouths.
Well, I think we should solve it in another manner. We've got a prime minister who loves to box. He stouts to be really good at it. I think we should put him and Putin in a ring and let the UFC organize it and settle it like old-fashioned men. Let them put on bare-knuckle fight or maybe just a little glove. And then we'll actually see who's the better person. If they want to really settle things and Trudeau wants to flex his muscles by putting his special forces guys sitting in the Ukraine, babysitting that ammo dump.
I don't think Putin would really go for it because Putin doesn't want to fight him.
Best of 3.
Man, it could be the next big Rocky movie, but it could be a pay-per-view. I think that's the way that if we want to start wars in 2021 or 2022, I think they should have to settle it the old-fashioned way first. Put your selected member, your battle person, your like back in the old-fashioned days, man. You had your selected member who went to pre-war. You lined up against each other, and if those two guys, if they actually couldn't solve it with a good talk between the two, they ended up going into a fist fight, and they solved it there, and that was it. And then everybody else split and went back. Why can't we just let our prime ministers or those that are peacocking right now, put them in a controlled environment, and they battle it out until somebody says, "Okay, fine, you win."
Food Network baking challenge.
Yeah.
Done.
There you go.
Yeah. Do you want here? Just kind of on, like I said, on that note, these idiots having to, fight it out. First of all, I don't think Putin would fight Trudeau simply because I don't think I don't think he'd want to fight a woman. But whatever. I digress.
I think both of them with their egos, I think both of them would want to fight each other just because they both love to peacock.
Yeah, probably. You're probably right.
Man, so, you put Putin in, he wants to be shirtless on a moose playing hockey or skating with his international Russian team around on skates. Like, put him in an actual boxing ring. Give him some knuckles. Dust it up a little bit. And then let him sort it out like people. If they're going to peacock in front of everybody, instead of letting you and I go to war, and the smaller person who ends up at the end of the line has to deal with it all, the aftermath, the families, the people that have to deal with us after the fact, we come back to war. Why can't we solve it on an upper level first? If these talks don't exist or they're not working, put them in a fucking ring. They want to be animals on a political level. They want to flap their lips and talk about tough guys. Don't throw your armies at each other. Why? What's the point? You're going to kill hundreds of thousands of men and women? Why? To prove something.
Exactly. And to go back to what I was saying about these politicians not being in harm's way. I mean, historically, when you had kings and queens, who led their armies to war? The king did. And if the king was too old and busted ass, guess who did it? His kids did it. His oldest son would do it. So and even when you look at our, I mean, I'm not a fan of the royal family or anything like that. But even when you look at the royal family, man, in 2008, man, Prince Harry was a fool. He was an artilleryman in Afghanistan. He didn't need to be there. Man,
he actually broke protocol too, going that way. Because he was supposed to go Air Force like everybody else, but he chose to be a fucking person to serve.
And same thing, I believe, William was a SAR pilot. Christ, how many of our politicians do you think would let their son be a fool in the artillery in Afghanistan or a goddamn SAR pilot?
What was Buddy that just got all his shit taken away from him by the Queen?
I don't know.
Prince Andrew.
Andrew, yeah, he's in a bit of shit right now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a bit hot. He's a bit hot water.
Fucking
Yeah,
diddling
well, he's
kids
been
on
putting his
Buddy's
shit where
Island
it
or
shouldn't
some
belong
fucking
for a
thing.
long time, and I think people are just calling it out finally. You just have to.
Yeah.
People are starting to get a grip where they're realizing that you can actually call out pedophiles, and pedophiles will actually be dealt with accordingly.
You mean like when our prime minister was a substitute teacher and he had relations with a underage student?
We can't talk about that though because
No.
he's already had that $2.4 million silence agreement with the family, and they moved to South Florida. So
Yeah, you can't.
hey,
talk
if any
about
of
his
those
mom
family
banging
members want to talk,
Castro
because I can
either.
imagine that 2.4 mil ran out pretty quick.
Hmm.
You can only imagine, man. Everywhere he goes, you do it any manner. He was in BC. They did the same thing when he was a ski instructor there.
This guy's too negative. Yeah, I know. I don't know. Anyway, fuck it. I'll tell you right now, war fucking sucks. Having been in them, as you guys can attest to.
Agreed.
And
100%.
this thing, if it kicks off, and hopefully Putin's just fucking peacocking and showboating, but he's putting a lot of people's lives at risk. He's got 100,000 guys on the border, and if NATO decides to respond, it just ends with a whole fucking ton of people getting killed for I don't know what. So
For a chess move. That's all it is
for a
on the
chess
bigger
move.
global standpoint.
yes, like there's
That's all it
no what, and maybe we'll park this for another day, but like what advantage does Russia get by getting the Ukraine? Is there infrastructure? Is there resources there? Is there
What's underneath
support
the
access?
earth in the Ukraine?
What the fuck is there that he's willing
Minerals?
to start World War fucking 3 over? Because I'll
But
tell you right
even
now, man,
but
I'm gonna
historic
go.
from a historical standpoint
ahead.
though, I mean, like Kiev has been like it's kind of been like Mecca to the Russians, and Ukraine's kind of been that Russian like the Russian breadbasket. So there are a lot of historical ties. I mean, the Russians have wanted Ukraine, and over time it's been part of Russia, and it hasn't been part of Russia since I believe Sean Ellis mentioned it earlier. I mean, this has been an ongoing thing between Russia and Ukraine, since day fucking one. So it's kind of like in the Middle East, like all the holy cities, like Jerusalem and stuff like that. It's a mecca for Muslims as well as Christians, and
Sure.
and it's the same thing you're dealing with here, right? Because I mean, Russian and Ukrainian. I mean, the languages are almost fucking identical.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like like you said before, we're not talking about some bullshit fucking 30-day war thing or whatever where you're losing a couple guys every other day. We're talking thousands upon thousands of people based on the amount of equipment that NATO collectively can mount on that eastern front and what Russia has. This is not fighting a bunch of fucking farmers with IEDs and a couple AKs.
No, this is a whole different new kind of war.
It's bad. It's not good.
It's not so much that it'd be anything new. It would be old school heavy metal warfare.
That's what they
So-
want.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
you're going
Yeah.
right back to all
Yeah,
that
and-
shit the way we
one-on-one.
trained in the 80s.
And if anybody wants to know what it looks like, I believe it was a year ago when Armenia and Azerbaijan went at it. Like, I mean, just go Google that. I believe it was about a year ago. Go see what happened there. Like I said, old school heavy metal warfare. We're talking, tanks, artillery, mechanized, motorized infantry.
divisions of them, like huge amounts of fucking
divisions,
armor.
tens of thousands of people, armored vehicles, and supply trains as long as to the end of the earth. And
Oh,
they
and
went
by
at
the
it.
way, let's not to mention countries that all have a nuclear option. Like, fuck me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Where is that going to aim? Because they're
Let's,
not just aiming there.
let's
'cause
end
they'll
this
also
shit
hit
on a
everywhere
fucking
else.
positive note here.
All right.
Hopefully they can work it out.
Positive. Yeah, there you go. That's our positive note. Like our the politicians on both sides, and even worse than the politicians are the goddamn media. People got to pump their brakes and be like, is this what's best for fucking humanity? Like,
Right.
really? Like old school heavy metal warfare followed by something nuclear. Oh yeah, everybody wants that. That's good for business. Like,
yeah, exactly.
so
It's just there's
That
no
would be, yeah.
fucking way
it's
this
not
this ends
you know,
good.
like I said, war is bad. Like,
Yeah, and it's not good for nobody other than people
It's,
profiting off of it.
what I'm afraid of most is Putin's ego
Well,
forces Western leadership to put their money where their mouth is, and we're
yep.
doing
And he's calling out
we're
Trudeau.
in a fucking war over their unwillingness to back down. Because if you look at, and why do I think this? Because they're going back to the beginning of this pod, their media campaign where he's feeding the Russian people, it's not us, it's them, and they fucking believe that. All he needs is the people behind him because they think they're defending themselves against an aggressor.
Yep.
That is fucking scary shit, man.
It's already established at that point. It's no different than anybody else in their media. Look at the US. Look at the divide that it's got going on right now.
Oh yeah,
they've got a white versus black versus yellow versus blue versus you name it now. And it's the same thing that we've got that ultra divide that's going on in Canada. And who controls the media? The sitting government with all of its endorsements and grants that are paid out. So like it doesn't become a news source, it becomes a propaganda source, and that's what it has to be established as. These politicians and everybody else should have to sit around in NASCAR uniforms with all their patches and endorsements and who actually owns them, front, back, legs. You want to see all those endorsements instead of a politician walking around with a $5,000 suit and a $10,000 watch. They should have to map out who they're endorsed by and who their trust fund is being paid to. And if they're taking extra money from other countries to endorse certain things on their media levels, it's outrageous.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll watch and shoot, and we'll touch base. I'm going to wrap this up.
Yeah,
we'll touch base on this next week. I'm really curious to see, because this is going to be very fluid and change moment to moment. So we'll touch base on her next Wednesday while I'm broadcasting from a fucking tree somewhere in British Columbia.
We should also do a follow up on the convoy for freedom headed to Ottawa, because
absolutely we're going to check on those fucking hillbillies and make sure they're doing all right, and they're doing their safety checks and walk-arounds on their trucks and chaining up when they need to and all that good shit. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Again, thank you, Morgan. Thank you, Bryce, my regular panel of hooligans. We'll do this again next week. Yeah, was interesting conversations. So
yeah, it was good. It was a good one, boys. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Again, Fire for a Fact has been brought to you by DeanBloodell.com. Go to DeanBloodell.com for Canada's largest digital source of news, sports, podcasts, cool shit. Check it out. You can probably see some humorous crap about everything we're talking about right now. Shout out to Positive Mike's Brewing. Shout out to Mr. Hooper Inc. Shout out to Lakeside Farms. Everybody stay safe, have fun. If you're bored, jump on to Tripping with Bonzi. He's live right now. I'm missing half of the show. Leave comments, hit subscribe, all that shit. I normally don't say that. You guys know the drill. And we will see everybody next week. And we are out.